Welcome, my friends, to this very quick expose on the world of AI. This is going to be an ongoing series because we got so many different AI tools and little gadgets here and there that you can use to up the game, up the ante on your game. Today, I'm going to be talking about three, and we're going to be taking it in segments one by one. The first is LANDR, LANDR. LANDR is a great tool. I've been using LANDR for the past 8 years, thereabouts, and it's a tool that enables you mix your music with confidence. I can say this for sure because I've used LANDR for so many tracks. When I first started my music career, it was the mastering by human, right? And you would have to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy just elevating not only the levels but getting it to the commercial standard for it to be able to be played on radio, for the frequencies to be properly distributed. So I hired someone to do this for me for the longest time, and he would do a brilliant job. Shout out to David Shirk. He'd do a brilliant, brilliant job. But as the tide began to change and AI became more on the scene, and as David went out of work to change pivot, I started using LANDR as my go to tool. The thing about LANDR is you do need to know a little bit about mixing yourself so that when you are listening back to what LANDR has done, you can decide whether it is good for consumption or needs a little tweak. So, this is LANDR. It's an AI mastering, distribution, and collaboration platform. I went into LANDR hoping just to get my mixes done, but as time went on, I realized it was actually a very good distributor. So, being an indie artist, I went into music, releasing my stuff in the United States under CD Baby. But after a while, I realized CD Baby wasn't as flexible as I needed it to be. So I pivoted everything I was doing to LANDR, and I haven't been disappointed since I did. Maybe in a future episode, I'll share with you another distribution system that I found that actually outdoes LANDR, but that's for distribution. When it comes to mastering, I got to give LANDR its props. So let's zoom in here and talk about these items one by one. First of all, it is a cloud based music production suite that offers AI powered mastering distribution to major platforms, collaboration tools, plugins, and the like. The key features, you got AI mastering. You upload your track. It's a very, very simple system. It's so straightforward, it's unbelievable. But you upload your track, and LANDR uses intelligent algorithms to enhance the EQ. It also enhances compression and loudness. You need to know whether your music is open or whether it's just somewhere in the middle or whether it needs some dampening, so to speak, and then whether it needs to be on the low end of volume because maybe coming in your initial track was already too hot, so you might need to tone it down, or you could leave it somewhere in the middle, or you could go ultra, to high. As far as the distribution is concerned, it's very straightforward. One click release to Spotify, Apple, and the rest of them, the regular suspects. As far as collaboration is concerned, it allows me to collaborate with other people on my team, share projects. You can mix stems in there. I haven't used a whole lot of that. And you can chat with collaborators. Or if you wanted to share how your music has progressed so far with someone before release, you could get a special link and just share it with that individual, no one else. LANDR has also got a growing library of tools and royalty-free packs, which is quite impressive. They've come a long way. I'm a huge supporter of what they do. They definitely made my workflow a lot easier. And it's best for DIY artists and producers who want fast, professional grade results without hiring a mastering engineer. Like I said, my mastering engineer went out of business, and I needed to find a mousetrap that was not bad, that was still good enough, and there came LANDR. So let's jump into LANDR. let me explain how it works, and let me take you for a very quick tour around it. So when you come into LANDR, you've got a page for samples, if that's your thing. You got a page for plugins. You can connect with other creators, hire a pro, sell services, or maybe this is where you go, just like I do. I go here first. This is a place I go, boom, mastering, hit that, and it'll bring you in here. Now, all you need to do is drag a track, as you can see, right over here. You just drag a track in there. It says upload a track now, wave, MP3, or what have you. Drag it in there, and you can master a track with ease. So what I'm going to do is drag one of my old backing tracks here and drop it in there. And you can see it is actually processing, or maybe you can't see because I'm blocking your view. Let me take myself out of the thing. And over here you can see it says sun never goes down. It is loading that. And that's one of my tracks. And then when it finishes loading, it then begins to analyze what you're doing, and ultimately it will give you a pre-taste of how the mixed version could sound if you leave everything as is. But if you decide to make tweaks, the sound will change accordingly. All right, and that's the track. You can see the track right there. It's just doing a little bit of embellishments on it. But typically when it's done, you can go in one folder and you can see your original, and you can also see the mastered version. Applying Magic Touch does all this processing on it, and when it's ready, for the most part, what it gives you is generally radio ready. Maybe only once have I ever had to increase any of the frequencies. Like what it gives, I just keep it as is, because I also don't want it to be too plasticky. So you got to make sure you do not over process. My recommendation coming in is just ensure that you're a little bit below the 0 decibel mark in your whatever tool you use, right? Make sure that it's not coming in too hot, and in that way LANDR has enough bandwidth to do what it needs to do. So there you have it. It says sun never go down for jamming master preview. Let's click on that. All right, and then it brings up this window, as you can see here, and this window just shows you your work before and after. So let me go ahead and play how it sounded original. All right, now I'm going to turn on the actual LANDR mastering. Listen to the difference. All right, so here you can see there's 3 settings for style and 3 settings for loudness. So I'm gonna like toggle between them so you can check out the differences. Let's listen. All right. So honestly, there is a remarkable difference. Just listen to it original and just do a volume match. Original and LANDR.
Sun will never go down.
So when you take the volume match checkbox out, it's showing you the difference it's made even volume wise, because volume does count. Volume counts, frequency counts, and you want to make sure that when you're doing this, not only does it have the right frequency distribution, but it's also as loud as it needs to be. And this is what LANDR does for you, auto, which is what I like about it. Another cool thing about LANDR is if you wanted to master, watch this, if you wanted to master an entire album, you can master an album with several tracks in it. Several tracks in it. You can also get stems. You could, I don't really like the rehance that you see up there. I'm not a huge fan of it. But the workflow, it's just awesome. It makes life easier for me. So shout out to the people at LANDR. You know, it's a product that I have used, like I said, for almost a decade now. And it hasn't disappointed me. When they say they're going to release, they release. They do all the due diligence. You know, a little bit stricter on the artwork and the letters, and but that is to be expected, because if you take your work to certain distributors online, they may reject it, and you wouldn't know why. But what LANDR does, they get back to you, they tell you what the matter is, and then you can go ahead and fix accordingly. So there you have mastering. You also have distribution. So if you've uploaded a track and you've mixed it or not, you can release your stuff, right? You just need to make sure that you've paid the right fees. So we have Distribution Pro, $44.99 a year. We have the Distribution Basic, which is $23.99, and they've really brought these prices down. I mean, when I first joined LANDR, I was paying 100 and something for a very puny solution compared to what they have here. This is so robust. They've got unlimited MP3 masters, 1,200 samples credit, 2,000 worth of other must-see tools, plugins. I haven't ever used those, even though they're there at my disposal, because I've got so many other tools that I could use. So what do I think about LANDR? I think they're the leader in this game of AI mastering. I know there are other companies, but LANDR is definitely a good solution. Great solution. Great solution. I haven't had a whole lot of difficulty getting what I need from the tool. All right. Good deal. All right. Well, that's LANDR for you. At least now you know what it looks like. We've put a face to the name, and hopefully this gives you more confidence. You know, speaking to someone who's used it for the past at least 8 years, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And yeah, be confident. Be confident. You might want a second opinion. So if you got a buddy who's a mastering engineer, nothing wrong in them listening to the mixes and giving you some ideas of what to tweak, because you know those three parameters that we saw when I did the example. Let me go back there just so that you know what I'm talking about. Like over here, when you scroll down and you got warm, balanced, open, or low, medium, high, you need to know when to stop, because you could get to a point where it's too much and instead you're just shooting your own work in the foot. Don't do that. Don't put too much seasoning. Don't put too much EQ. All right. I hope this gave you some insights. If you've enjoyed it, smash the like button. You got any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll see you next time.